Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to season number 4 of the Ray Esports Racing League presented by Spec Racer Sports, Alliance Autosport, and RaceVoice here on Apex Racing TV. It's week number 5, and after some of the closest racing we've ever seen here in the Ray Esports Racing League last week at Road Atlanta, with cars 3, sometimes 4 wide, and nothing but the red Georgia Calais to contain their aggression, we head to the Monterey Bay and home of the corkscrew this week, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. With Brian Donati joining me in the announce booth and Apex Racing TV's Dennis Branch manning the controls once again, I'm Greg Ginsburg. And Brian, you know, I'm still trying to process what we saw last week in Brazelton, you know, and if any of that carries forward to a low grip track that has traditionally been very difficult to pass on, like Laguna Seca, I'm going to be quite surprised.
Well, I tell you what, Greg, there's 2 key spots where these races are going to be the won or lost with both of our groups tonight. One, just as you mentioned, is the corkscrew. You need to get through that thing clean, and not be clean in order to open up the wine glass, but you've got to set that thing up in order to get through Rainey's Curve, which is one of the fastest turns that we have here at Laguna Seca. The second part is turn 11. You've got to be able to get in hard on the braking zone, but you've also got to be able to get off of and through the apex to get down that front stretch. You got to be easy in, hard out, but you've got to make sure that you get through that exit.
Yeah, that's right. Over at turn 11, you've got that hard-braking, traditional 90-degree turn, bringing you on to a very long front straight here at WeatherTech Raceway. And you said it, the corkscrew, brings fear into the eyes of drivers the first time they try to attack it. But here on iRacing, if you get it wrong just a little bit and you pop over the curbing, over driver's right, you cut things off, you're going to get a slowdown penalty in iRacing. There's no Alex Zanardi pass at the corkscrew here in iRacing. So these drivers definitely will have to take it nice and clean. All right, so Brian, I kind of alluded to some of the action that we had last week at Brazelton at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and frankly, the RE2 race was perhaps a little bit more clean than the Spec Racer Ford race that we saw, which had 4 cars all fighting for the same spot going into the last turn complex on the very last lap. But we'll talk about that, I think, a little bit later as we come out of the break. But let's talk quickly about RE2, where last week at Michelin Raceway, it really was Tyler Campbell's race to lose. He had almost a 7-second advantage over the rest of the field, and then lo and behold, our great friends at Comcast dropped the hammer not only on Tyler Campbell, but also on, I think, 4 other drivers, and they all got disconnected at the same time. And Tyler and those drivers, they were able to reconnect later. Tyler finished the race and actually, I believe, worked his way back up to 11th position. But obviously by then the damage was done. Now, Morgan Burkhardt and Jamison Huffman, 2 teammates, they got together turn 1, lap 1. Both ended up drivers left, fell back through the field, I think as far back as 10th and 11th. But, they were gifted a couple positions with a couple of those drivers suddenly disappearing into the ether, having, I guess the equivalent of mechanical issues with their cars, just the computerized version. And they worked their way back up into the top of the field. Morgan Burkhardt took the win over his teammate. And I think the gap was about 2 seconds over Jamison Huffman. And then John Wilson gets his first podium here in the Ray Esports Racing League. He finished in 3rd. The big surprise, Caleb Patry, who was coming off a 2-race win streak in the RE2 class, he finished back and forth just off the podium. So let's take a look at the point standings as they are right now here in RE2 as we come into the 4th race of 6 here this season for this class. Caleb Patry, as you can see, he's got a substantial lead right now over the rest of the field there with 68 points. Jamison Huffman, by nature of his finish last week, he picked up 4 spots in the championship here. He moves up to 2nd. He's got a 2-point advantage now over John Wilson, who picked up 5 points in the championship. He's sitting at 40 points. Tyler Campbell, again, if he had managed to pull out that win, I think he would be right up there with Caleb Patry, but he drops 1 position in the championship down to 4th, and then it's really very tight, really from 4th on. You can see Murphy Nichols, Zach Burke, who ran very well, and then Morgan Burkhardt, who took the win. This was actually his first finish in the RE2 class after having driven very strongly the previous couple of weeks. And with that win, he now moves up to 6th, makes up 15 positions in the championship. So, again, you can see here, Patry, he's got a pretty commanding lead, but things are very tight pretty much from 2nd on. So, Brian, let's take a quick look here at qualifying as we have just a little bit over 3.5 minutes remaining now. And we were just talking about him, Caleb Patry. He leapfrogs his teammate. Morgan Burkhardt moves up to provisional pole, turning in a 121.36. That is 86 thousandths of a second up on Morgan Burkhardt, as I mentioned. And then Zach Burke, who had that great week last week. He is sitting 3rd fastest at the moment, about a half a second off of Patry's provisional pole time. Then Huffman and Nichols, also the 2 teammates. But a lot of these all-sport racing drivers here up at the front, just sandwiching Zach Burke in the Team Esports Racer at number 13 entry.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, when we get to this race time here, if that continues to be the the norm here with those 4 all-sport guys up there with Zach Burke. It's going to really rely on Jordy Fike to help Zach Burke out and get up in there, as right now sitting in the 6th position, right now in qualifying.
That's right, the 09 car of Jordy Fike. He's not on track currently, and as you mentioned, currently 6th fastest here in the session. About quite a bit back. Fast time for Jordy Fike, a 1:22.91. That's almost 1.3 seconds off of provisional pole here as we're watching, and Brian, as we're on board right now with Zach Burke, the one thing that I don't know if it surprises me, but we're seeing a lot of drivers off in the sand and in the dirt just off the track surface here, as I mentioned, and you can kind of see it here with all the discoloration on the pavement. The track surface here at WeatherTech Raceway, somewhat abrasive, but not a high grip track. You do get a lot of sand and a lot of dirt that surrounds this track that finds its way onto the track surface. A lot of it because the drivers are going off quite a bit here, but so very difficult, and a lot of elevation change here. 180 feet from the lowest point down at the Andretti hairpin to the highest point there at the top of the corkscrew, and we can see another driver just went off. I think that was Wayne Buttermore in the number 73 machine that went around there coming through the corkscrew. And it's much like Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It's got a lot of flow. You have a lot of turns that are very heavily cambered, but very challenging. In dealing with those low grip conditions, for example, to go down into what is considered turn 2, the Andretti hairpin. They are here as we're watching, coming down into the bottom of the hill. It's a double apex for the most part, left-hander. Some drivers will take it as just a single apex. Some people will go and kind of square it off. But it's always a challenge there to keep the rear wheels from going out on you and being able to put the power down, the head down into turn 3 up. And we've got a couple more cars off here, as a lot of drivers having some issues with this 11-turn course.
Yeah, a couple guys right there coming down through there. One of them happened to be Jordy, may have been not Jordy Fike, but may have been Zach Burke, and he just had to get completely out of the throttle right there during that qualifying. So basically aborted that run. There was no way he was going to be able to pick that time back up, losing that.
All right, there was we just watched crossing the line Justin Huffman. That is Jamison Huffman's father. The 223 machine crosses the stripe. He moves up to 8th in that red, white, and blue number 223. And Justin races an SECA Formula Enterprises 2 car in real life. And this is probably the closest thing in iRacing to that Mazda MZR-powered machine. And he did very well last week at Michelin Raceway as well. Looking for good things from him, as the clock now, as you can see there at the top of the timing tower, has expired. And you'll see there that little move there as we were watching Wayne Buttermore come through the corkscrew. That would give you about a 1.5-second slowdown penalty in iRacing just by going over the inside curbing there. So obviously he's going to have to watch out for that in race conditions, as are our other drivers. But qualifying is now complete. Last flying laps here will count, and we'll see if Buttermore can get out of 19th position. And it does not look as though he is going to be able to do that. We do still have a couple of drivers still on track. I don't believe, though, that they are turning flying laps. I believe they crossed the start-finish line after the checkered flag had come out. Well, let's take a look. There is Justin Huffman, the 223. That was a flying lap. He moves up now and leapfrogs Kyle Vallejos and moves up to 7th position. So a good last lap for the 223 here from Laguna Seca in qualifying. And as we have Justin, I think, retiring to the paddock for a few moments, and John Casey still showing as being on track. And I'm sure we're going to see him peeling off here in just a moment, and he has. We should have our starting grid, Brian, here showing up in just a moment. Shouldn't be much of a surprise. We've been watching that timing tower for 15 minutes, but we'll see here. Again, Caleb Patry with 2 wins out of 3. and pretty commanding wins, but we'll have to see how Burkhardt and Huffman, his two teammates now, work in concert. Certainly they didn't work all that well together in Spec Racer Ford last week, so we know that there are no team orders. So Brian, there's our starting grid. Why don't you run down the starting order as we get ready for our first race of the evening?
All right, starting on the pole is going to be the number 98 of Caleb Patry with a time of 1:21.360. Outside of row 1 is going to be Morgan Burkhardt in that number 40 machine. Starting inside row 2 is the number 89, that's Jamison Huffman. Starting outside of row 2 in the number 13, that's Zach Burke. Starting 5th in the number 5, that's going to be Murphy Nichols. Starting 6th outside of row 3 is going to be the 09 of Jordy Fike. Starting 7th is going to be the 223 of Justin Huffman. And just after him is going to be the number 35, starting in 8th position. That's going to be Kyle Vallejos. Starting 9th is the 9 of John Vogel. Starting 10th is the number 80 of Andrew Wozencroft. Starting 11th is the number 222 of Mark Santana. Starting next to him in the 12th position is going to be the number 15 of John Wilson. Starting 13th is going to be the number 71, that's Andrew Benna. Starting 14th is the 033 of Peter Rolfe. Starting 15th, the number 11, the bearded wonder himself, that's David Stern. Starting 16th is going to be the 221 of Charles Vaccaro. Starting 17th is the number 78, John Casey. Starting 18th, the number 700 of Joaquin Effinger. Starting 19th in the number 73 of Wayne Buttermore. And starting 20th is the 062 of Greg Brockway. Starting 21st, and I don't believe these three made a time during qualifying, is going to be the 2 of Greg Mack. Starting 22nd is the 129 of Russ Lundberg. And starting shotgun on the field in the number 33, starting in 23rd, is going to be David Castellana.
Yeah, okay, Brian, and as we have the pace car just getting ready to roll off, it looks as though Greg Mack, driver of the number 2 Esport Racer machine, as well as David Castellana in the number 33, I believe, All Sport Racing entry, those two drivers did not make the grid as the pace car rolls off. And as it does, and they start to make their way around this 2.2 mile, 11 turn track on their pace lap, Brian, let's quickly talk about our sponsor for tonight's race, and that is Alliance Autosport, based in Columbus, Ohio, and they found success both at the club and professional levels, garnering multiple championships, including 8 SCCA National Championships, 3 SCCA Pro Racing Championships, and an USF 2000 National Class Championship. Alliance Autosports team members are dedicated, hardworking, and they know what it takes to win. Alliance is an SCCA Enterprises Great Lakes Division customer service rep for FE2, also for Spec Racer Ford, and their services include arrive and drive packages for Spec Racer Ford Gen 3, Formula Enterprises 2, as well as Trans Am 2 if you're interested in going pro racing. Customer car prep, trackside support, transportation, storage, part sales, and data analysis, as well as hospitality and driver and coaching development are services that they offer. To join Alliance Autosport on the winning track, check them out at allianceautosport.com. All right, Brian, and as the field now starting to make their way up the hill, and we'll talk a little bit more about that great turn number 5 as it leads the drivers up the Rahal straight towards the corkscrew, and we'll talk a little bit about that during the race. I also wanted to mention that, of course, here in Season 4 of the Esports Racing League, we are offering for each one of our 4 classes the Excellent Driver Award, and it's going to be awarded to the driver who competes in at least 5 of 6 rounds in their class this season, and they amass the least number of iRacing incident points. And we're going to be giving an award out for each and every one of our 3 classes, for the RE2s, for the MX5s, and for the Spec Racer Fords. There's a nice picture of the 3 trophies up on the screen. So let's say good luck to our drivers. Stay clean, stay safe, and Brian, as they come out of turn 11 to start this RE2 race here from WeatherTech Racing Laguna Seca, we have a green flag. Morgan Burkhardt and Caleb Patry are side by side. Looks like Morgan Burkhardt maybe having some internet connectivity issues as they round turn one, come down the hill, and now poking to the inside, Jamison Huffman trying to get around his teammate, and that is Caleb Patry. And now it is Burkhardt and Huffman side by side through the Andretti hairpin, but now with position going down into turn three, it is Caleb Patry. Let's see if he can inch ahead. He cannot. Burkhardt is your leader, Patry second, Huffman third, then Zach Burke in that Esports Racer number 13 machine, Murphy Nichols in the number 5 car, and skidding off just as I spoke his name, Murphy Nichols in the number 5 car. He goes off on the outside of turn number 3. He's going to have to get that car recovered. Actually, that was turn number 4 where he went off, and he's going to get that car back underway. And then we've now got ahead of him, we've got Jordy Fike now working his way up to 5th, then Huffman, then Vallejos, that's Justin Huffman, Kyle Vallejos, John Vogel, Andrew Benna, and Andrew Wozencroft. Another car off, 2 cars off. Brian coming through turn 5 and up the hill. That is the 033 of Peter Rolfe, and I believe that was the 700 of Joaquin Effinger.
Yes, that was. It looks like that was definitely the 700 of Joaquin
Effinger. And it looks like we got Wayne Buttermore involved in that as well.
Yeah, it looks like he may have come off. We'll try to look and get a replay, see if we can figure out where Buttermore got involved in it, but I only saw the 2 cars at the time. But let's take a look here, the replay as they're going side by side.
Yeah, and here's they go, and it's usually just a slight tap of the brake, and then up to the apex, and oh yeah, there you go. You take a look at that, and looks like Joaquin Effinger just made that dive bomb to the apex at turn number 6. You know, and it's a high-speed corner. It's usually just a brush of the brake, and got right into Peter Wall. Very unfortunate there as we jump back to the battle for the lead with Morgan Burkhardt and Caleb Patry. Nose to gearbox. Teammate Jamison Huffman not that far behind, and Zach Burke, I believe our lone Canadian in the field here tonight in that number 13 Esport Racer machine. He is right on the gearbox of our top 3. As we have another car off here, Brian.
That may be Jordy Fike. That looks like the 9 of Jordy Fike, maybe, or is that the John Vogel machine?
I think that's John.
That is
Vogel.
the John Vogel machine. Yep.
Yeah, that was Vogel. That was coming out of turn 5, going up the hill towards turn 6, where we had that previous incident. Let's take a look. I think we've got a replay queued up here as we watch as he gets under braking, goes to the apex, and yeah, just pushes wide.
Yep, just took that a little bit too fast there. Got out in the sand and the dirt, and once that gets on those back tires, it's about all she wrote. And that really does happen in real life too.
It does, Brian, and you know, it's uphill, it's a little bit off camber, and there's a big tendency at that corner to turn in a little bit early, as looks like now. Oh wow, this is the 5 of Murphy Nichols. He gets into looks like he got into the back of John Casey, I believe it was, going into the top of the hairpin.
Sorry, Greg. Looks like he got in the back of Greg Brockway. Looks like Brockway wasn't able to get slowed up, or got slowed up way too much, and then it looks like the Murphy Nichols just had nowhere to go and just ran right underneath the back gearbox there of Greg Brockway.
You know, and Brian, we just had a huge change up in the top 3. I think it was coming out of turn number 4 as Justin Huffman dropped the wheel, ran wide, spun the car. He falls out of the top 3. He now falls back to 5th position and manages to rejoin. That's going to move Zach Burke in the 13 machine up into 3rd place. You can see he's a good distance back. He's a little bit under 2 seconds back from Caleb Patry, but big change there in the top 3. And you'll see now that Jordy Fike in the 09, he's a long way back in 4th. And there we go. Looks like John Vogel, whatever issues he had from his previous off, he is now sitting on the pit lane. And again, Vogel had that great, and we'll talk about it a little bit after the break, great run in Spec Racer Ford a week ago at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. As we jump back a little bit further back in the field right now, and we're keying on John Wilson there in that blue and orange number 15 car. You know, remember, Wilson finished on the podium last week, Brian, in RE2, and didn't have quite the qualifying time that he wanted here, and he's kind of mired back in 8th position. He picked up 4 positions on the start, started in 12th, and has worked his way up to 8th. But you know, I'm sure probably looking to make a little bit more of a charge.
And then here we see Justin Huffman. Now he's over on pit road again as well. So looks like, as we were talking about John Wilson, again, up 4 spots. Now give him up 5 spots or 6 spots now as it continues to keep changing as we go. So
yeah, and and you can see there coming out of turn 3, setting up for turn 4 as Huffman dropped the wheel. A lot of the corners here, as I mentioned, low grip to begin with, but many of the corners here, Brian, they're the entrance to them is slightly deceiving, I guess. I've had the tendency here when I run in iRacing for some of these turns to turn in much earlier than I think you need to. That you have to late apex, for example, turn 3 certainly, but also turn 5 heading up the hill where we saw a couple of those cars go off earlier. If you turn in what appears to be the correct place because of the changes in elevation and camber here, what you just end up with is you end up, rather than getting to the exit curbing, you end up getting to the dirt prior to the exit curbing.
Yeah,
and, you can see even there where Morgan Burkhardt, ended up tracking out maybe just a touch before the exit curbing there. And if you turn in even just a little bit earlier, the car typically goes around on you.
Yeah, if you do that, like you said, just a little bit too soon, it's just going to throw you off. So you almost have to be exact as we're looking at our leaders here, Burkhardt and Patry, and you're right, they are starting to open up a lot over Burke. As they go side by side, Greg, that's almost a little wheel-to-wheel contact there coming down through with our leaders. I'm not sure that's really what they wanted to be doing right now, but we've seen this week in and week out between these two. One's faster at one part of the track and the other one's faster in the second half of the track, and it just becomes where they're just going to go side by side. As they're, again, going to cross the start finish line again, we're going side by side with Patry and Burkhardt. Again, still side by side as we get down into the Andretti hairpin. These guys are, that's actually going to bring Zach Burke even closer, Greg.
That's right. That's exactly what's going to happen. And again, I look back to a week ago, and it looks as though rolling back on track there. I think that is Justin Huffman rejoining now. But I look back to a week ago in our Spec Racer Ford race, where our eventual winner was kept in a race because we had these teammates 2 and sometimes 3 wide for long stretches of a race. And again, we'll talk about that, I think, a little bit later as we come back from the break. But this is definitely, if they continue with this, going to bring Zach Burke back into the race. But for the moment now, they have, as we're looking at it here, almost an 8-second advantage over Zach Burke. So I think they've got a little bit of time and a little room to play here, Brian.
Yeah, they do. As we drop back here a little bit with the race between Andrew Bennett and John Wilson. I'll tell you what, both of those drivers up 6 positions from their qualifying, and they've kind of had a pretty good battle. Both of them have been actually really clean. It looks like the Andrew Bennett's starting to fall back a little bit, so Wilson's starting to pull away a little bit from Bennett. Bennett's now going to fall into the clutches of Andrew Rosencroft here as they come down the hill here and start to head back around.
And, Brian, I'm just glad to see, in looking at Andrew Bennett's car, that apparently my head is too big to fit on the nose cone of his RE2. We'll have to see if it reappears on a Spec Racer Ford a little bit later tonight here as we jump back over to this battle for the lead, as we're only about 9 minutes in, less than halfway through this 20-minute sprint race. And again, Morgan Burkhardt and Caleb Patry, the 2 All-Sport Racer entries, they've opened up a pretty good advantage back to Zach Burke. And actually, that advantage to Burke, you kind of said it, Brian. It dropped down almost to 2 full seconds. But as they came out of turn 5 and started to make their way up the hill there to turn 6, and of course heading on up towards the corkscrew up Rahal Straight right now, they've opened things up again on Zach Burke up to almost 3 full seconds.
Yeah, I'm sure these two realize, what, look, we can have our fun here for a lap or two, but if we want to settle this here at the end between us, we've got to get away from Zach Burke because Zach Burke was starting to reel them in. Once they got back in line here, once Morgan Burkhardt was able to get ahead of Caleb Patry, then they started to pull away just a little bit, stay nose to tail. They come out of turn 11 now.
Yeah, and we can see here that they are continuing to stretch things out over Zach Burke now from the corkscrew on. They've opened up almost an additional 3/10 of a second on him as they make their way through Andretti And we'll just sit back and watch these drivers go at it for a couple seconds here, and see how smooth they are. And actually, it's interesting. I was reading some of what Morgan Burkhardt was writing this week, because both he and actually Tyler Campbell have been putting together some setups for these RE2s for some of the other drivers in the series. And the first thing that Morgan says is, I come from go-karting. I toss this car around like it's a go-kart, but throwing the rear end of the cart around, and oh heck, you're a go-kart racer, but you watch them on track here, and you just don't see it. You just see economy of motion and very smooth movements here.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you had some cameras watching him at his house through there, we got another car going off, and that looks like that is actually going to be Andrew Benna. So as we were talking about it, I think maybe he wanted to get the other side of your face dirty there, trying to figure out where he wanted to put it.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure that if you look at Morgan Burkhardt, in his home, and you watch him in his sim, I guarantee you he's throwing those arms left and right.
Right.
Elbows up, because he's trying to get away from Caleb Patrick. But Caleb Patrick just not going to go away.
No. And again, Caleb has 2 out of 3 wins, I believe, here so far this season in this category. Trying
to get 3 out of 4 here. That's kind of what he's trying to do. Again, with that, I think when we looked at the points early on, with that 26-point lead, out here, if he can get by Morgan Burkhardt, and again, he's still going to add to his lead here in the points. But again, I know he wants the winners. Now they're going to go side by side again, coming down through the corkscrew. Not a place that you would actually see a pass right there. But Caleb Patrick able to get through that corkscrew a little bit quicker. And this is what we talked about, Greg. Certain parts of this racetrack, Caleb Patrick is much faster than Morgan Burkhardt. Yes. But then Morgan Burkhardt comes right back around. It'd be interesting to see as they come out of turn 11 here. We talked about that early on. You've got to get easy in and hard off to set up whether or not Morgan Burkhardt can catch him back through the Andretti hairpin down the bottom of the hill. That's where
I wonder if they're using identical setups, or if there are maybe some slight modifications for one driver over the other. It appears that the cars are trimmed out approximately the same. Oh, and Caleb Patrick, he goes wide coming out of the Andretti hairpin, and he's going to have to fall back in line now as he concedes the lead to his teammate Morgan Burkhardt. As we watch the replay there, just pushed a little wide.
Yep. Lost the nose coming out of there.
Oh, and it looks like Andrew Benna's disastrous lap continues as he goes off again. He's now lost 2 positions, falls down into 10th position. As he now tries to hold off Greg Brockway.
Trying to get those tires cleaned
at the tail
up.
End of the field.
Yeah, trying to get those tires cleaned up there too. They come down through back into Andretti hairpin. I'll tell you what, and Brockway locking up the left front there, Greg, trying to possibly overdriving, trying to catch Andrew Benna, knowing Andrew Benna is having some problems. Brockway trying to get up into that top 10. That is the battle for 10th place.
All right, let's jump back over to that battle for the lead. And if you look there, doesn't look like a very sunny California day there up on the Monterey Peninsula. I think we had when we had the weather up earlier, it was looking somewhere around 80 degrees with 95% humidity and very cloudy skies, and it's looking kind of dark over there today. Hey, there we go. And ask and you shall receive. There is our instant weather report from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. As we look a little bit further back in the field, of course, we're going to continue following this battle for the lead, but our leaders are coming up on some slower traffic now. That may start to complicate things. Again, about 5 seconds back now is Zach Burke, so our leaders have really started to stretch things out over our third place runner. There's Zach in the number 13 machine. Jamison Huffman, another almost 5 seconds back from there in the number 89 machine. As he comes up the Ray Hall straight, you could see how far ahead the number 13 car was. Again, he had that early spin over by turns 3 and 4. and really put him on the back foot. Jordy Fike running in 5th. John Wilson now, we talked about Wilson being kind of mired around 10th position. He started 12th. He is now up into 6th in that number 15 machine as our leaders once again cross the start-finish line and now make their way. They've completed 10 laps, and look at this. Burkhardt goes very wide, it looks like I thought he might try to cut underneath Patry in the number 98 machine. He does not. He is going to once again concede the lead now to Caleb Patry, but both drivers, they're coming up on a lot of slower traffic here, Brian, and this is where how well you do with traffic is going to come into play.
Yeah, they're coming up on the machines of John Casey, Peter Rolfe, and Wayne Buttermore. So you're right. It's going to be to see where they're going to catch them doing it. It looks like they're coming up the hill here now. Looks like they'll be going into, it looks like that may have been Rolfe that went off, and then John Casey
Rolfe
pulled over. So the next machine they should be coming up to is going to be Wayne Buttermore. And then ahead of him is going to be Russ Lundberg, who, again, started at the very back, and he's up 9 positions. So those two look like they're going to be in the clutches of getting lapped here by our early leaders of Caleb Patry and Morgan Burkhardt.
Yeah, and the question is, are they going to come up on him before they get to 11? And look at this as looks like Lundberg steps wide. Patry cuts right underneath him, goes all the way down the inside. That causes Burkhardt. He does check up and cannot get around him until after turn 11 and after they come onto the front straight. But look at this. It really didn't cost them a lot, Brian.
Now, remember, we talked about this. Morgan Burkhardt's actually really, really good coming out of 11 down the front stretch into that Andretti hairpin through turns 2, 3, and 4. Looks like that may have been Lundberg that had just gone off there going through Andretti hairpin. But Morgan Burkhardt's actually really, really fast through there, and that actually helps him catch back up to Caleb Patry. So I have to see as this lap goes on, Greg, about probably just about 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes left to go. Where does Morgan Burkhardt now start to work to try to make that move? He gets a little loose there coming out of turn 6.
Yeah, and so we've got these drivers. They've been running lap times in the 121s. They're about halfway through this lap, probably this lap and maybe 2 more here before the checkered flag comes out. So not a lot of time here for the number 40 machine if he's going to get around the 98. Oh, looks like Patry coming out of the rainy curve got maybe got a little bit of that sausage curbing right at the apex of 9. Didn't really affect them that much, but let's see here as they come under braking going into 11. And you're right, Brian. Burkhardt, he seems to make up a lot of ground under braking going into 11, but he also, even with that additional braking, seems to carry a little bit more speed on exit.
Yeah, able to get through, turn 11 quite well. Come down the front stretch here, going into Andretti hairpin is Patry, by about a half a car length here right now. It could be that Morgan Burkhardt just could be sitting there waiting to pounce there, looking at that time to get back past Caleb Patry.
All right, so now have a little bit over a minute and a half left to go, and so again, we should be on the penultimate lap if my simple math and I have enough fingers to get this done. I think we'll see the white flag this next time by. No, I don't think there's a chance here unless they come to a dead stop that we're not going to be able to see that extra lap before the 20-minute mark hits as they come now up the Rahal Straight, set up for the corkscrew. And it was a great move we saw earlier when Caleb Patry came right underneath Morgan Burkhardt to take the lead at the exit of the corkscrew. Now, takes a lot of work there. As you mentioned, you don't necessarily see a lot of passes going down through the corkscrew, and Burkhardt, he knew Patry was there, and he held the car out, driver's left, and more importantly, he was able to gather the thing up as they came out. However, this time, Brian, he is not able to hold the car off as they come out of turn 11. Does not a good exit. The white flag is in the air, so probably at the most crucial time for Burkhardt. And look at that, he locks it up going down into the Andretti hairpin. He's got some slower traffic that was trailing him in, but the last 2 corners for him have been very consequential.
Yeah, able just to, I guess, really trying to push the car as much. We're getting to this 20-minute mark, and now Patry goes a little bit wide there, getting into some dirt and some sand. So we'll have to see whether or not that's going to have any type of effect. But, going through the Andretti hairpin again, and coming up on Charles Vaccaro, trying to make that pass at a certain point, just overdrove the car and just pushed it as hard as he could. And there it is again. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see he drops the wheel there as he was perhaps pushing a little hard, but again, turned in early. And that turn there, turn 6, it's got a little divot, a little drop right at the apex. And if you wander away from that apex by too far, you end up in the dirt. And so Morgan Burkhardt, once again, loses a little bit more ground to Caleb Patry, who with just one more corner to go, just has to be able to navigate this slow corner, turn 11. He does. Burkhardt is going to make up a little bit of ground, but it's a fairly short run up to start finish, and taking the win tonight in RE2 is going to be Caleb Patry. Finishing second is going to be Morgan Burkhardt, a full second behind. Zach Burke crosses the stripe. He's going to finish third. Jamison Huffman works his way back up into fourth. Jordy Fike in the 09 machine. Still waiting for him to come across the line, but there he is, coming down, making his way through turn 10, heading over towards turn 11, and he should bring that 09 Team Esport Racer machine home in fifth. There he goes, give it a little show. Don't loop the car on the front straight, Jordy. There you go. And Wilson there, John Wilson, finished third last week at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. Very respectable, brings the car home in sixth after starting 12th tonight. Great run for him. Andrew Wozencroft is going to finish seventh. Mark Santana, there he is in the 222 machine. He will come home in eighth. And maybe David Stern is back shaving his beard or something. There's the number 11 car coming back out onto the front straight. And David Stern out of the Washington, D.C. area, he's going to come home in ninth. And Greg Brockway in that 062 Team Esport Racer machine, he's going to round out the top 10. All right, so Brian, we already have, because it didn't take them long to do a cool down lap, we already have our winner from race 1 sitting in the green room. Why don't we bring in Caleb Patry, and then we'll bring in Morgan Burkhardt, who finished second.
Caleb Patry, congratulations. I'll tell you what, man, you've got these RE2s down pat. That's 3 out of 4. Talk about that race tonight.
Well, it was definitely intense. Didn't really get that good of a start. Kind of fell behind Morgan there and Jamison in the first turn. But from there on out, it was kind of just Morgan and I turning laps. And I could get close to him, but with the arrow push, I was having to adjust my line and adjust my corners a little bit. So that was a little bit difficult. But looked like Morgan was making a few mistakes throughout the race, and I was able to get runs. But there was only a few places where I could really make moves. And when the opportunity arose, when I saw a gap, I just kind of went for it, and yeah, just kind of happy to end up first after that.
Well, I tell you what, congratulations again here, winning your third out of the last 4 races here at WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway. Who do you like to thank tonight?
Well, certainly Steve Ray for setting these events up. Team All Sports for their setups and all their support. You guys for the broadcast, and lastly, my parents for their support and watching every week.
All right. Again, Caleb Patry, congratulations on this win, and go get ready for the next one. Greg?
All right, there you go. Caleb Patry, driver of the number 98 All Sport Racer RE2. And now why don't we bring in Morgan Burkhardt, finishing second tonight in the number 40 machine.
Morgan Burkhardt, congratulations, finishing second here at Laguna Seca. I tell you what, that was a heck of a run with your teammate there. The one question I have is talk about the difference in setups, or are there any difference in setups, or do each of you make your own tweak using the baseline that your team kind of puts together?
Well, we all get kind of a baseline that's meant for, I guess, lowest common denominator, so it's good for everyone. And then I know I personally go and tweak it a bit. I don't know about the others. This one, I went a little bit too aggressive with it, and the rears were really starting to go off towards the end, and I didn't really have anything to defend against Caleb. So he ran a really, really great race, and congrats to him.
Yeah, we kind of noticed that a little bit, kind of really pushing and kind of wearing off the back tires there at the end. So, yeah, you're right. Maybe just a little bit of a different tweak here and there. But again, another great top performance between you and your teammate racing and battling pretty much the entire race. So, again, congratulations on this second place finish. And who do you like to thank tonight?
Well, I'd definitely like to thank Caleb and the rest of the team for a great race and helping us in qualifying with setups and everything. I'd like to thank my parents for making all of this possible. Major's Garage for some really good setups that we use. And Barbara Wallace, she's given a really nice gift to me, and I just like to shout that out and say I really appreciate that. It's very nice of you to do that.
Was it a birthday gift, Morgan?
It was a birthday gift. You are correct.
That's right. Happy birthday, Morgan. Just turned 16, I believe, in the last couple of days. So, congratulations, and don't show all your racing skills out on the streets, my friend.
Thank you for the advice.
There we go. All right, there you go. Oh, sorry, Brian.
No, I was like, send it back over to you.
All right, there we go. So there you go. Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 machine, finishing second tonight in RE2. And I'm sure we'll see both Caleb and Morgan in our next race, which are going to be the Mazda MX-5s. They will finish up the evening for us here from WeatherTech Raceway. But before we go to them, we are going to take a very quick break here. And when we come back, qualifying for Mazda MX-5s. You're watching the Esports Racing League, week number 5 from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Datapacks also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
All right, and we are back here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca for week number 5 of the Ray Esports Racing League. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Brian Donati. And Brian, before we move on to our next race, why don't we just recap quickly what we saw in race number 1 with our RE2s, the USF 2000 racers, with Caleb Patry taking the win over Morgan Burkhardt, finishing in 3rd. On the last step of the podium was Zach Burke, with Jameson Huffman finishing 4th and Jordy Fike finishing in 5th place. And so as our drivers, they are out on track right now, and they are going to be heading out now for qualifying. And I guess this would probably be a good time for me to get set up for that next race. Oops. Let's talk quickly here, Brian, about what we saw just a few minutes ago, actually not a few minutes ago, but a week ago, in Spec Racer Ford, because the Spec Racer Fords are not racing with us here tonight, but they put on one hell of a show, I think is the best way to say it and to put it. We had, just to recap, on the very last lap, going down into the final turn complex, into turns 10A and 10B, we had 3 teammates side by side. We had a very tight, very, very close. Let's turn to right now. They are out for qualifying, and tail pretty much coming for the majority of the race, and coming into the very last lap and even the last couple of corners, nose to tail. Zach Burke, Morgan Burkhardt, a great recovery. He actually gets past Jameson Huffman. He is now going to take over 2nd position, move Huffman back into 3rd, and Murphy Nichols might have given Huffman a little bit of a love tap, Brian, as they came through the rainy curve, and both now Murphy Nichols and Morgan Burkhardt get around Jameson Huffman. Jameson Huffman now goes in just the span of 4 turns from 2nd all the way back into 5th position, with Brennan Horn still sitting at the tail end of that pack. And there's a little bit of a gap now separating the 89 car from our top 4 drivers of Burke, Patry, Nichols, and Burkhardt.
I'll tell you what, Greg, looking at what I can see there going down through the Andretti hairpin, it does look like Caleb Patry may have given Zach Burke just a little bit of a shove there. Going through, looks like Zach Burke may have started to get a little bit loose, but with Caleb Patry just having a little bit of contact there in the back, was able to keep that straight for that pack to keep going.
Yeah, kind of amazing when you watch MX5 races as one car gets loosened up. All that it takes is, sometimes the car behind makes you a little more loose. Sometimes it actually straightens you up and brings you right back in the line. And I think that's exactly what happened there with Patry. Right back behind the number 13 of Burke. Now, remember that the way the race ended at Barber was with Morgan Burkhardt getting into the back of Caleb Patry. The rear end stepped out on him, and he was able to keep the thing under power and eke out that win over Morgan Burkhardt. Again, I think Burkhardt may have gotten out of the throttle just a little bit to let Burke recover, but the car control skills that some of these drivers up at the front show really. I think quite amazing here as we're on board right now. We're not on board, but we're watching Sean Hayes in the yellow number 94 machine as he's trying to pick up a spot there from that purple and white number 13 or 013 of Remy Esperance. Remy, having picked up 5 positions since the start of the race, started 15th, is running now in 10th position, and a very close battle. And we'll have to see if this battle continues on. We may see Charles Vaccaro in the 221 machine get up in there as well. As we jump back a little bit further and watching right now, Jordy Fike, who had been briefly in with our lead pack. He's running in 7th. He's fallen off the back of his teammate, but he's been under attack pretty much from lap 2 on by Lewis Lockshine and Wan Chi Lin. Wan Chi Lin in the orange and white number 30, which is the second of our 2 orange and white number 30s. He gave up a position now to Lockshine. So Lockshine sitting in 8th, Wan Chi Lin sitting in 9th. Lin had a great start to his Spec Racer Ford race, of course, at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta last week, and then went off over at turn 12, the steep hill, and unfortunately fell back through the field as he had to recover the car after he hit the wall. But doing very well here in Spec Miata or MX5s, as well as we continue to watch this battle between Esperance and Sean Hayes. And Hayes is he's just hounding the 013 car.
Yeah, pretty much staying in that 11th position, but you're right, Greg. He is gets right on the back bumper a little bit, and then all of a sudden the car gets a little bit loose, and as we just say that, he goes out all the way into the sand. So he really got loose there coming out of 10, heading into 11, but was able to recover that.
Yeah, and the thing is with a lot of these corners, even in the MX-5s, takes a light brush of the brake sometimes, but very, very easy to have the front end of the car wash out on some of these turns, especially turn 10, where it is downhill, it's off camber. You've got to get the rear end of the car rotated, which you can do with a quick lift of the throttle with the MX-5s. But always if you're tentative on a lot of these corners here at WeatherTech Raceway, if you're tentative and you just you kind of ease off the throttle a little bit and you don't maybe get back into the gas quite so much, it's very, very easy to have the car just push right off track.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As now we're we're on board here with Caleb Patry, Greg, and I tell you what, Caleb Patry's dropped back to 3rd at this point, so Murphy Nichols able to get by him, and now they're both trying to run down Zach Burke as they come through the corkscrew. Both Murphy Nichols and Caleb Patry getting a little bit sideways there, coming through there. That's going to actually help Zach Burke as he starts to open that up ever so slightly over Nichols and Patry and Burkhardt.
That's right, and and we've seen where Murphy Nichols has been very, very aggressive as he worked his way up. He started in 4th position, started on the outside of row number 2, and he is now sitting in 2nd here as we jump back to that battle between Wan Chi Lin and Lewis Lockshine as they are side by side under braking going into 11. And looks like Wan Chi Lin's going to take over that 8th position from Lockshine. So great battle going on with those two guys here. And and I think we said it a couple of weeks ago at Barber, and I mean, and frankly, we talked about this a lot in the Spec Racer Ford race last week at Road Atlanta, that it doesn't matter if you were at the front of the field in that top 5 battle or right in the mid pack, as we're now watching as Sean Hayes has gotten back into this battle with Remy L'Esperance. you know, it really doesn't matter. You're seeing some of these battles go for 20 minutes at a time here in this league.
Yeah, as we start to, you talk about Sean Hayes and talk about Remy Esperance and now Charles Vaccaro again. Last time by there, Vaccaro got in just a little bit too hot down into the Andretti hairpin, so he pulled back because he was making up some room. As now it looks like we're going to go up the hill here. Oh, it looks like Remy Esperance hitting that curb as they go up the hill through. It looks like that's going to be to turn 7, hit turn 8, Greg, as they come down through the horseshoe. It's going to be, or the corkscrew, is whether or not Sean Hayes is able to stay on with Remy Esperance. Yeah,
and we'll see here. You know, we saw a lap ago where he ran a little wide coming through 10, but you know, again, you'll see here, they'll give that slight tap of the brake, get the car turning up, and we have somebody off right now, and this is Dan Castellano. We saw him a little bit earlier tonight in that gray and red number 33. Let's take a look at the replay here as he makes his way up the hill towards the top of the corkscrew, and you can see the 4-wheel drift going into the corkscrew, tries to get it set up, and drops a wheel into the dirt on the exit of that complex, and puts the car around. Very common affliction, I guess is a way to put it, coming out of the corkscrew here. You know, for pretty much folks that are new to the track and have raced here quite a bit alike. So we're back on board. And here's another huge change, Brian. The last time we checked in, Murphy Nichols was running in second. That is no longer the case. We can see he is at the tail end of this little train here. Murphy Nichols has now dropped back to 6th. That has moved Morgan Burkhardt and Jamison Huffman up to 2nd and 3rd. Let's take a look at the replay here, and hopefully we can pick up exactly what happened to Murphy as he comes down the hill, heading down towards the Andretti hairpin, hard under braking, and
him and Zach Burke, yep.
Yeah, got on the brakes, got into the back of Burke, and both drivers came to a complete stop there, and so that moves Zach Burke, and Burke has just now gotten around his teammate Brennan Horan. Maybe team orders at play there, but Zach Burke, who had been leading this race, he is now, you can see him there as they come onto the front straight. He's sitting in 4th, right back behind the two teammates of Burkhardt and Huffman as they come down towards the scene of the crime, and it looks like Murphy Nichols quite a bit further back now as do we have a little bit of contact there possibly with Zach Burke and our 3rd place runner Jamison Huffman? Quite possibly, as Burke now moves up back into 3rd place. And you know, the thing here, Brian, though, is it's allowed Caleb Patry to open up I think almost a 2.2 second advantage over the rest of the field at this point.
Yeah, as we start to wind down a little bit, Zach Burke able to get right back up to Morgan Burkhardt right there, but I'm shocked that he's able to do that with it. Does look like he's going to have some damage, I think, on that left side as he got, you know, hit in the back from Murphy Nichols and then made contact, and I'm not sure if he made contact with Jamison Huffman or Brendan Huron as they went through the Andretti, you know, the Andretti hairpin there.
Yeah, and you can see they're coming through turn 6 where the back of the 13 machine stepped out a little bit on Zach Burke. Doesn't seem so bad going down into right-handers here, but as they're coming through, he's having a little bit of a challenge getting back up to Morgan Burkhardt in the battle for 2nd, as we now have just a little bit over 2 minutes remaining. And so when our drivers cross the stripe, and Caleb Patry, our leader, you can see him there on the front straight, he's going to be crossing the stripe just around the 18-minute mark. We should have 2 more laps remaining here from WeatherTech Raceway.
Yeah, I tell you what, Greg, with 2 laps to go pretty much based off time here, Morgan Burkhardt and Zach Burke, and now Zach Burke falls back into the clutches of Jamison Huffman, and now Zach Burke's dropping even further back. I was going to say that those two would be able to still have time to catch our leader of Caleb Patry, but starting to fall back ever so slightly there.
Yeah, it looks to be that way as we're back to this great battle that we've been watching here off and on. The battle for 8th position. We've got Jordy Fike in the 09 machine. Then we've got, actually, it's the battle for 7th. Wanshi Lin in the orange and white number 30. He gets around Jordy Fike. So move Fike now back into 8th. Lewis Lockshine in the orange 124 car sitting at the tail end there, sitting back at 3rd, as it looks like we had a driver off, and I believe that was Sean Hayes that took his car off track. He has brought his car back to the pits. We'll see if he can get a quick repair in and get back out on track. I don't know if he's going to be able to get that car back out, as both as Hayes, Charles Vaccaro, and also Greg Mack are populating the pit lane as we speak. As we jump back now up to our battle for the lead, and look at this as Jamison Huffman. He just made his way back around Zach Burke. And, oh, did Burke get into the back of Huffman? And, yeah, there's a good amount of contact there right at the apex, Brian.
Yeah, it looks like Zach Burke really trying to push the issue here, trying to get through turn 11 a little bit and right on that back bumper of Jamison Huffman.
Yeah, push the issue, push the 89, same thing as they go down. And, oh, and the 13 car gets back. It gets into the back of the 89 car again. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think Zach Burke, he may have checked out of the session here. We'll see. He's dropping through the order. I think Zach Burke either had a damaged car or a damaged ego, and his night is now done. And yeah, we're showing that that Zach Burke has exited the event. So back in the lead right now, again, Caleb Patry, Morgan Burkhardt. That is going to move Brennan Horn in the 45 machine now. There he is up into the last podium position with Murphy Nichols in the number 5 machine, very close behind. So again, is with just now. Well, we're on the very last lap. We're on the white flag lap with all that RG bargy. I got a little lost there. Forgot that we're on the last lap now as Nichols tries to cut underneath Horn going into the corkscrew. Horn maintains the position. He holds off the number 5 car as they start to roll down the rainy curve, Brian, and it's not over yet, at least for that battle. But I think right now the battle for the win is over as Caleb Patry rounds turn 11, comes onto the front straight. Morgan Burkhardt about 10 car lengths back, and as he comes through and under the stripe there, Caleb Patry will take the win. Burkhardt will finish second, and let's watch that battle for third. And getting the run out of turn 11, Brennan Horn, he's going to come home in the last podium position. Murphy Nichols is going to finish 4th. And look at this. Wan Chi Lin now takes home 5th position with Greg, probably not Greg Mack, with Zach Burke checking out. That moves a lot of these drivers up. Wan Chi Lin, who had gotten around Jordy Fike, he's going to come home 5th. Fike is going to finish 6th. Lockshine is going to finish 7th. Jamison Huffman brings his car home in 8th after that little run-in with the Team Esport Racer entry of Zach Burke. And then we've got Remy Esperance. He's going to come home in 9th. Michael San Inocencio will round out the top 10 as we're still watching the 2 drivers forever joined at the, we'll say they're joined at the quarter panel here, Brian. We got Joaquin Effinger and Wayne Buttermore coming out of the final corner. And looks like Buttermore is going to take the advantage here this week as he finished 16th. Effinger finishes 17th. Greg Brockway will bring his car home as the last runner on track in 18th position. Well, what do we say?
There's a number of things that could be said. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That was very entertaining.
Yeah, it was certainly entertaining, and yeah, I think we saw a little bit of maybe a little bit of the red mist here towards the very end of the race, and hopefully we'll see some of these drivers back with us. But tell you what, Brian, let's not take anything away from our winner and from our second place runner, and hopefully we'll get Brennan Horn here into the green room. I'd like to get him. I know we've had both Caleb and Morgan on earlier this evening. So Brennan, if you can hear the sound of my voice, come join us. But in the meantime, let's bring in Morgan Burkhardt, finishing second tonight in the Mazda MX-5s.
Morgan Burkhardt, congratulations finishing second again. I tell you what, feeling like the bridesmaid here tonight at, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Talk about that run here in our MX-5.
Well, it was an interesting one to say the least. Kind of learning my lesson from the USF race, saving some tires, trying to make a late race stab at it, and it kind of worked. I was catching Caleb towards the end, but too little, too late. And congrats for the sweep for him. I've been trying to do that for very long time.
All right. Well, listen, again, congratulations. Again, that second place, not where you wanted. You were a little bit faster there at the end, but who do you want to thank tonight in this MX-5 race?
I'd definitely like to thank the rest of the team. Not exactly the way we wanted things to go tonight, but we live, we learn. Thank you to my parents for making all of this possible. Major's Garage for some really nice setups. And thank you to you guys for commentating really well, putting on a great show for us. I really appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate you coming out here and running this every week. But again, congratulations. And Greg, I'll send it back over to you.
All right, sounds good. So there you go. That's Morgan Burkhardt, driver of the number 40 All Sports Racing entry, finishing second tonight in Mazda MX-5. So deja vu all over again. Let's bring in Caleb Patry, our winner tonight in the Mazda MX-5s.
Caleb Patry, congratulations. I tell you what, get that broom out there, young man, because you just did the sweep here this week at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Talk about that race, because it really got interesting there towards the end.
Well, certainly the start was okay. I struggled a bit to keep the car underneath me that first lap and kind of fell behind. And once I fell behind, I just kind of tried to stick with the leader, get runs if I could, make moves when I could. And about mid-race, I felt the tires kind of drop off a little bit, so I tried to ease off a little bit. And then I was running third, and then going into one, I just saw Zach and Murphy get together. Not really sure what happened there. And then after that, I kind of just had a gap, and from there on out, I was just able to cruise. So worked out well for me tonight. Pretty unexpected, the double win, but I'll take it.
Well, that's actually called a sweep, not a double win. That's a sweep on the night. Now, again, who do you like to thank tonight for this MX-5 race?
Again, Steve Ray for putting these races on. All Sports Racing for their teamwork and their setups and their support. You guys, again, for putting on the broadcast. And once again, my parents for their support.
All right. Well, again, congratulations on the double win, the sweep, whatever we want to call it this week. Pretty smooth in both of these cars. So congratulations. And Greg, I'll send it over to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Brian. All right. And thank you once again to Caleb Patry, our winner in 2 races tonight, both in the RE2s as well as the Mazda MX-5s. And this evening's race, Brian, I think is definitely going to cause a huge shakeup in the point standings for the MX-5s. We'll tell you, you gotta check in with us next Tuesday night to see where everything shakes out and where everything stands. And Brian, next week, next Tuesday night, 9 p.m., we are going to be going from a track that is difficult to pass on to a track that is more than difficult to pass on. We're going to be going to the 1.5 mile long bull ring that is Lime Rock Park, and we're going to have our MX-5 drivers. They're going to be joining us, as well as the Spec Racer Fords. They're going to be making a return. I don't suspect that we're going to see cars 3 wide, at least going into the downhill at Lime Rock. We may see them going 3 wide into turn 1, going down the Sam Posey straight there, but it should make for some exciting racing at one of the most historic and most loved tracks here in America, and it's great to know that we can go race in the evenings at Lime Rock when the locals don't care about sound control, apparently. So, Brian, let's go and wrap things up here. Of course, I want to, as always, thank our great sponsors here on the Ray Esports Racing League, Alliance Autosports, RaceVoice, and also Spec Racer Sports. And of course, we want to thank the great folks from the Esport Driving Club for the excellent driver award that they offer this season. And and again, we'll be at Lime Rock next week, same time, same channel, and that channel is the Apex Racing TV channel. So if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you'll find out about all the great virtual motorsports that Apex Racing TV has to offer. And of course, you can find out more about Apex Racing TV's offerings on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. All you got to do is search for one word. It's Apex Racing TV. All right, so for Brian Donati, for Dennis Branch, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and again, we'll see you next Tuesday night from Lime Rock Park. Have a great weekend and have a great evening, everybody.